So today we're going to talk about something I've been seeing going around that I haven't really been too big of a fan of. And this is the hate going towards H3H3 productions. And I've never understood this. I mean, obviously I'm a fan of H3H3. You can tell by the merch. I did that on purpose. I want you to know that I am a fan and that I have a vested interest in this creator. Regardless of that, I've just been seeing like a ton of just random hate towards him, and I'm like, why is this guy thrown around as one of the most hated YouTubers? I was like, this guy really hasn't done anything too bad. Like, he's obviously said some off-color shit, so has most YouTubers, but like, yeah, that's like unfortunately what happens. He hasn't like actually done anything too wrong, and I don't understand why he's received the hate that he does. So today we're going to dissect one of the videos criticizing H3H3 and see exactly why people are against him, see why people don't like him. The video we're checking out is from a guy named Vertecs. I think he just does such a poor job of representing the criticisms towards H3H3. So let's address that. Let's jump right into this fucking video.
Hello everybody, KingTex here. Before this video starts, I just wanted to stress 3 things. One of them is about my channel in general, and 2 of them are about this video. So the second and third thing that I want to stress is that this isn't a hate video and that you shouldn't go and hate on Ethan. This video is just constructive criticism on Ethan and the things he has said and done in the last year, and it is just my feelings.
Vertex is right when he says this isn't a hate video. He doesn't do like a lot of slander on H3. But when he says it's constructive criticism, I think 0 part of this video is constructive criticism. All the points he makes are super weak. This video was posted a year ago, and after a year we can clearly see all of the points that he makes in this video are pretty weak and false. As for the video being his own feelings, he cites constantly that it's just many of his fans' feelings. He doesn't even cite like how many fans or where this community is. He just constantly refers to many fans feel this way. So to say this is his own feelings is false. He tries to make some sort of idea that there's like a large community of H3 fans that are against these changes. But as a personal fan, I like these changes and I think that it's great for the channel.
So let's get started. On April 7th, 2017, H3H3 started his new podcast, H3 Podcast. Now initially, this podcast was just for a place where Ethan and Healer could voice their opinions, and it was kind of like a second channel to H3H3, but instead of being comedy, it was mainly just discussion on an easily accessed and easily understood podcast.
Yeah, I think everybody understands what a podcast is, Vertex, but thanks for the fucking description.
After the H3 podcast's really successful launch, Ethan must have realised how profitable a podcast is. Not only does he not have to spend time being funny or editing, he also gets tons of watch time, views, and sponsors. So this must have given the idea to Ethan that he doesn't need to make a main channel.
You think he doesn't have to be funny for podcasts? What do you think he sits there for 2 hours just blowing wet farts into the mic? Like, you have to be entertaining for that amount of time. You can't just have dead air throughout. He's very conscious of making it entertaining throughout. Also, it's not lazy. He realized that maybe one form of podcast was a bit lazy, but recently he's changed it and diversified it into, I think it's now 3 different podcasts, 3 like concurrent different podcasts. He's got the normal H3 podcast, then he's got After Dark podcast, then he's got Frenemies. Frenemies is doing fantastic, by the way. And he also had Content Court, which he tried, but like, I don't know, that form just wasn't stimulating to the audience, and he realized that, so he cut it. But he is actively understanding where he lacks in diversifying his content. And he changes it and does fantastic at it. He makes a great solution to making a podcast while also making different podcasts and making it an entirely different show 3 times a week. 3 times a week he makes a 2-hour long podcast. So he has to be funny for 6 hours. No more being on camera for 5 minutes, which he brings up later in this video.
Because he can just sit down and record 2 hours of a podcast and upload all the highlights for easy views. Now that's where the first issue stems. Ethan left his old channel to run a podcast, and most of his fans didn't want this. They wanted old Ethan and Healer to upload comedy videos, but Ethan just stopped uploading, and nobody knew why until he came out with a statement. Ethan explained that the reason why they weren't uploading was because he was depressed and that Healer's dad passed away, which makes a lot of sense. If you're grieving and you're depressed, then you're not going to upload as much. You're not going to want to make comedy videos. But what doesn't make sense is that this was 2 years ago, and now Ethan still isn't uploading, which led fans to believe that Ethan used this as an excuse to not upload on his main channel.
Newsflash, genius. Maybe during that time of family tragedy, he realized that he wanted to make a different content and he wasn't happy with the content that he was putting out. Maybe he realized that him and Hila wanted to start a family and wanted to start a life outside of the traditional H3 Productions channel. Hila obviously started Teddy Fresh, and they obviously by now, I don't know at the time of the recording if they've had the kid, but Theodore has been born. They have a new life. They are trying to adapt and be sustainable to fit their new life while also making content for their audience, right? Think about PewDiePie. PewDiePie used to be the face of gaming YouTube. He used to love doing horror videos and stuff like that. But as time went on, he realized that wasn't the content that he enjoyed making. Now he makes meme review, the Y, does some Minecraft here and there. He's mixed it up and he makes content that keeps him engaged. That way they don't see some dead, lifeless person through a screen dancing for them like a monkey with a fez on top of their head. You know? Like, they have to be happy in order to make good content.
While still doing podcasts, which I also don't understand. If you're grieving, why would you spend 2 hours on camera interviewing different YouTubers and all around making jokes? It made no sense that Ethan quit his main channel, where realistically he was on camera for 5 minutes, to do a podcast for 2 hours when he said that he was depressed, and that just didn't make sense.
Okay, his depression doesn't need to make sense to you, Vertex. And that's completely fine. He dealt with it his own way. You don't have to understand his decision making. All you have to understand is that he made the decisions for a reason. And the reason isn't to be on camera a shorter amount of time, realistically on camera for 5 minutes, even though editing and being on camera and takes and all that shit, you could be on camera for 45 minutes for a 5-minute video. The time of being on camera has nothing to do with it. He's fully happy with spending 6 hours of his life a week on camera. That seems to just be what he wants to do. There isn't any like sinister reason. He didn't use his depression as an excuse. That's an awful thing to say. He just doesn't need to explain every move he makes. He's allowed to be his own person and make decisions for the channel that he has personal reasons to make, that he doesn't have to describe to you, Vertex. And I think it's just fair to assume that this is the content that he enjoys making. And he doesn't care about how long it takes him to make it. He just cares that it's what he wants to make and it's what he enjoys making for his fans. He's not using depression as a fucking excuse. That's ridiculous. And if any fans think that, you say it's your own feelings for this video, but you keep saying that his fans feel like he used his depression as an excuse. Like, if that's actually true, they aren't real fans. Fuck you for saying that. I'm sorry, just fuck you, dude. That fucking sucked.
But then he tried to use his depression for another reason. During this time, Ethan was also facing backlash for saying things about the Catholic Church and for getting too involved in politics. He kept making really fucking stupid statements like saying everybody in the Catholic Church is in on the paedophile ring.
It sounds like you're from the UK, Vertex, so I'll give you some slack on this. In the United States, we have the ability to say things that we want to say. It's called freedom of speech. We are allowed to criticize the Catholic Church and say outrageous things like, yeah, probably all of the top-ranking officials in the Catholic Church understand something about pedophilia going on within their church. I got another spider bite, yo. Like, where are they coming from? If somebody has any idea where the fuck spiders hide, let me know. Yeah, you have the freedom to promote whatever political candidate you want in America. You can say whatever you want. People might not agree with it. It's his channel. He's allowed to do whatever he wants. I lean Republican. He brought Andrew Yang on, and I enjoyed Andrew Yang a lot, and I thought he was a very good candidate, and I would have voted for him. And he brought that person to light for me. And now I understood that person's views, and the media was doing a horrible job of covering Andrew Yang. He brought him on, gave him a platform, he shined on that platform, and got a bunch of supporters from it. I don't think that's a horrible thing. It's part of our democracy. So I don't know why you think that he used his depression as an excuse to make jokes about the Catholic Church or to have Andrew Yang on his podcast. Like, that's a stupid fucking thing to say. This is how stupid your fucking argument is. All you just said, he blamed his depression on having Andrew Yang on the podcast. You stupid fucking Brit.
So far, there are two reasons why people hate H3H3. They feel like he abandoned his main channel to start a podcast.
So he realized how to make fun and sustainable content that he enjoyed making. Okay, cool. Next.
They also feel that he has been saying some outrageous shit.
This whole video has been you saying dumb shit. So, you know, those who live in glass houses and all that.
But now there is a new controversy that people hate him for, something that happened recently. H3H3 allows people that he used to criticize before on his podcast. Now, a recent example of this is Trisha Paytas. H3H3 has made jokes about Trisha Paytas multiple times, whether it be on Twitter or his YouTube.
Actually, you're right about this one, Vertex. Nobody that you've ever had beef on should ever be allowed on your podcast. Nothing good could ever come from that, right? Oh, that's interesting. H3H3 just posted something on Instagram while we're talking. Oh, it's a picture of Hila with Trisha and Ethan. This photo was taken 1.5 years ago, the first time I met Trisha Paytas in our studio. Since then, she has become my sister-in-law, my partner in crime, and one of my best friends. Life is one strange motherfucker. Yeah, Vertex, life is one strange motherfucker. And if you close yourself off to people that you previously disliked, you close your life off to being interesting, weird, and full of surprises. That is a dumb sentiment to say that you can't have somebody onto your podcast that you have had previous beef with. They are now literal family, best friends, and co-hosts together. That is the perfect example of how fucking wrong you are.
So not only is he a hypocrite for letting these people on his podcast, but he also agrees with them in situations where they are clearly wrong. A good example of this is when Trisha started making a rant about Anthony Padilla from Smosh, where Trisha Paytas and Anthony Padilla had a row. Instead of H3 being neutral, he started agreeing with Trisha Paytas and boosting what she said. And a lot of fans didn't like this. They thought it was hypocritical, and they thought he was siding with someone just because they were on the podcast.
I just did a video talking about like how I think I have like multiple personalities, and he's like, "No, you don't. Fuck you for claiming this." Like all this shit, and I was like, "Fuck you for telling me."
He's the type of dude who gets offended for other people.
Why does he have to remain neutral? Why can't he fucking bash on Anthony Padilla? Like, that guy deserves some bashing. He's a fucking soy boy. Like, and the clip that you show saying that Anthony Padilla is the type of person to get offended for other people, yeah, he's exactly that person. Have you watched any of his content recently? He's become some sort of social justice warrior, fucking like feminist. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, but like, he has just become a puppet of that sort of rhetoric of like getting offended for other people. Completely fair criticism. Don't think that's evidence that he's sucking somebody's dick who's on his podcast, you know?
Now it's time to move on to segment 2.
We're a year past the filming of this video. Let's see what this stupid Brit has to say about the future.
With Ethan not making a statement on his main channel and not really wanting to talk about his main channel a lot, it's very plausible to believe that he may not ever upload on that channel again. Or maybe he won't upload for a couple of years, or maybe a couple of months. There is no way to tell when he will upload. But I think what the takeaway message from this video really is that H3H3 got lazy. He left his fans for a podcast, even though his fans didn't want him to.
If making 6 hours of content a week and a new podcast called Frenemies, one of the most revolutionary and different podcasts I've ever seen personally, is lazy, then I have zero idea what that makes me. That must make me some fucking like immobile, fucking quadriplegic. Like, I must not do dog shit if that's laziness. It's not just fucking talking in front of a mic for 2 hours. He makes a different show 3 times a week. Honestly crazy, and I don't know how he does it, but he enjoys doing it. And wouldn't fans want to see their creator for 6 hours a week versus 15 to 20 minutes a week? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me, to say somebody wouldn't want their favorite creator to start a podcast.
And I think what everybody can agree on is that we want the old H3 back. The H3 that makes funny jokes. The H3 that isn't afraid to go out in public and do some funny skits.
And I think what we can all agree on from this video is that maybe creators are eventually going to make different content that they have to make in order to enjoy doing the thing that they do. And it doesn't mean that they're lazy or ignoring their fans. It just means that they care about their fans so much that they had to find out a long-term solution to keep the channel going so that they didn't get burnt out and just end the channel altogether. And I think having that solution is way better than having a burnt out Ethan on a camera slowly degrading over time until he just doesn't want anything to do with YouTube anymore. And that should be everybody's takeaway from this video. That's gonna freaking do it. The David Dobrik video is doing good. I'm very happy to see that. Very happy to be back still, guys. It's great to be here. Shout out to Useless Commercials IRL. This man commented on my I'm Back video. He has been stuck with me for 3 years now. And that is fucking bananas. I thought there was gonna be absolutely no one left when I came back. But he was here, and I'm very glad, because in the back of my head, I always wanted him to be here. So, to you, Useless Commercials, if you're the only one I entertain, that's good enough for me. I'm happy with just having one person that enjoys my content. Thank you to everybody. Stop hating H3H3. Like and subscribe. I'll catch you on the flip. Stay beautiful.